What is good, Tesla family? It's Ray J back with another video, and in this one I'm going to be talking about the one and only Tesla stock and what you should be looking after for the future. I'm also going to break down what's going on with the overall market and how this may affect Tesla, what's going on with some big dates affecting Tesla over the next couple of weeks, and also what Elon Musk, the man, the myth, the legend Elon Musk, put on his Twitter page, which is big news for Tesla going forward. Now, before I break anything down about Elon Musk, before I talk about what's going on with Tesla's share price, I do have to mention a couple of things before starting. Firstly, I'm not a financial planner. Don't take any of this as financial advice whatsoever. And also, if you guys can, please smash the like button if you want to see more videos like this. Not only benefits me, it benefits the entire Tesla community as a whole. And the last things, if you guys can, please check out the Webull link down below and in the description. If you sign up for Webull, the link down below, and deposit any amount of money into the account, you're guaranteed up to 12 free stocks, each worth up to $2,000. And the best part is any of these 12 free stocks could be a free Tesla share, a free NEO share, or a mix of all of them. It's a limited time offer that ends in just 2 weeks. Check it out before they run out. With that out of the way, let's get on with the video. So Tesla was down 6.32% for the day. It's a little bit red in the after hours as well. Tesla's very close to a very key zone. Now, I mentioned in my previous videos that there was the potential for more potential downside. I also talked about the fact that 233 was the 0.707 retracement from a fib extension, and we noticed that we didn't actually get a true bounce off that. So the next point that was very pivotal for Tesla was 226. We could have gotten a bounce off that because that's the 0.786 retracement from the way I drew out my fib. However, we broke below that as well. So it doesn't even matter as much at this point. The buyers are not stepping in, and lots of fear is coming into the markets as capitulation is perpetuating. So what's interesting about this is Tesla's getting very close to another critical level that's going to be between 220 and 216. Now, I'm hoping we could get a bounce somewhere here, but I can't confirm it just yet because of the fact that it's not necessarily showing. We don't know where Tesla's going to bounce at. We just sold off from the very beginning. Considering how oversold we are, that is an indication that next week we could see some green. However, I am still net bearish overall, and I do anticipate more downside to come later on. And I know I hate to say that about Tesla. I know people do not like to hear that, but it is what the chart is telling us for the short term. Now, what else is very interesting about the chart and what's happening in the markets is the reason as to why we're dropping. The fear and greed index is extremely fearful right now. Fear is driving the markets. People are panicking. They don't like what we're seeing. And a lot of news about a potential crash is just spreading all over the place, which has massive truth behind it. It's just that some of the news could be kind of like misrepresented. However, I want to give you guys the facts and the data from here and talk about what we can say as of right now. So looking at the latest jobs report, we have something very concerning. So in this market, good news is bad news and bad news is good news. What does this mean? One way to interpret this is an example right here. Unemployment came out, it fell by 3.5% in September. However, payrolls rose by about 263,000 as the job market stays strong. What does this mean? Well, during a recession, during the times when the Fed is becoming hawkish and trying to bring down inflation, the Fed wants the jobs market to be weak. We want some pain for the short term, just as Jerome Powell had stated. And it looks like the Fed knows what they're going to do. They have to rug pull us. They have to put us into this very strong, kind of like recession like state that could become even more dire for the jobs market. And Powell mentioned this many times. Many Fed officials out there are saying the same things. But the problem is the jobs market is still strong. It's still very strong right now. It's doing very well. And the market does not like this. They know that we need the jobs market to show some weakness because if the jobs market continues to remain strong again and again and again, the Fed is going to be incentivized to be even more hawkish, raise rates even more, be stricter on policy, and the market is not going to like that. All right, so it's very important to see how this is affecting the markets and why this is causing more potential downside. As far as Tesla goes, looking at the data, we can see the price pairs ratio right here is continuing to come down, which is once again a sign of weakness for Tesla. It is coming down with the overall market as the SPY is not that far from its lows of the year. So once again, both are coming down pretty hard. What else is interesting though is many analysts still gave some buy ratings, such as Mizuho and also Goldman Sachs. The buy ratings are still coming because Tesla is very strong long term, but for the short term, there could be some pain, guys. It's very important to note that. Mondays tend to be green days for Tesla, but we need to see confirmation first before we could actually say anything. Now, Next week is going to be a very important week too, because looking at CPI, it's coming out on October 13th at 8:30 a.m., which is in Eastern time, so before the market opens. So CPI is coming out for the month of September. It's going to be very telling as to what the Fed is doing. And considering that gas prices did come down a bit in September, there is some hope that it could be lowered, but they did come up for the month of October. So the next CPI coming out in November may not be as good, which is why the market is still on the edge right now. The market does not like high inflation, given that the Fed is going to respond to it this time. So that's why things are very concerning. For Tesla, some good news is we have earnings coming out on October 19th, 2022. It's going to be very telling for Tesla's future plans to really address issues such as demand dropping in China. And I really believe that Tesla is going to make some big adjustments to the way in which they produce their cars and the margins that they're going to be producing and how they're actually planning on to kind of like continue to reach their goals when seeing demand actually simultaneously dropping in many economies. So it's going to be very interesting to see. During these big events, sometimes we could see a bit of a push in the stock price, but that right now it seems to depend more on the overall market than Tesla itself, which is why right now Tesla is just very, very different from before. Good news is not going to drive Tesla up the way it used to. Right now, the market's very different, right? Fear is driving it, the Fed is driving it, the economy. Those things are very important. And right now, the market's continuing to take big hits, and we haven't seen a big bounce just yet or confirmation. On the SPY, something very important to note is the fact that the SPY is very close to that 358 level. We need to get a bounce off this. If we don't bounce here, we could see more and more blood from there, and SPY could actually just get rug pulled and tumble all the way down to 350. If that happens, it's not going to be good for Tesla because we know the overall market affects it. The same thing is going to happen to the QQQs and the NASDAQ. They have a tendency of being heavily correlated. If the QQQs and NASDAQ continue to drop and don't get those big bounces as well, once again, Tesla is going to be heavily affected as well. So, what does this mean for Tesla? Looking at Tesla, let me just go over some very key zones. So, on the daily charts, you will notice that before Tesla's absolute bottom was at about 206. So that's going to be a very key zone if we do somehow go that low, which I don't really see happening just yet. I'm hoping we get some relief first before we actually come back to this low zone. And the reason why I think Tesla is set for some upside going into next week, just a little bit before we come down to even lower lows or maybe like back down to these low levels, is the RSI is super oversold on the daily. We could see momentum is being lost here, but one thing that's not too good is the MACD is still wide open, which is a sign we're just free falling. We're not showing signs of a bounce just yet. So we'll have to wait and see how that goes and hope for that bounce. So as far as the levels go, Tesla's currently at the low we made was 222. Tesla's key zone is between once again 220 and 216. If Tesla gets a bounce there, that would be pretty interesting. We could see some volume come in. We need to see some buyers step in at these ranges. If we don't get a bounce off 216, this thing has the potential to go all the way down to 210, which is super close to 206. It's going to be very important. Now, if we don't get the big bounces there, then this thing could easily touch 200. So be very careful in this zone. But I am hoping for a bounce somewhere right here around between 220 and 216. Now, as far as the other technical indicators go, right now, like I said, we're very oversold. I think the RSI is well below 30, which is oversold territory. The MACD is wide open, and on a different time frame, like the 5 minutes, there just is no confirmation of a true bounce just yet. I'm hoping that we see something better for next week, but right now I just can't promise anything. It looks like we're just continuing to drop and drop, and the market is very tricky. It's very choppy. There's lots of fear right now, so we'll have to just wait and see how this goes. That's really the easiest way for me to tell you. Now, in a later video, I'm going to go over the more meticulous possibilities as to what could end up playing out. But right now, it's very important to be very calm, cool, and collected, have a game plan, have a strategy in play for either direction based off what could end up happening. And just note, the fundamentals of this company are still very strong. The markets could be entering an earnings recession over the next couple of months because of the fact that demand and consumer sentiments are shifting right now to a point that's more similar to that of a recession and things like that. So that's the reason why these next few months may not be as strong for Tesla in terms of like profitability and things like that, just for instance. And in my honest opinion, it does not matter to me that much for the long term, because in the long term, I'm very confident Tesla will still prevail. I believe we're going to see lots of deliveries. The Tesla bot is going to be very cool too. So I'm still very excited. And this is something that Elon Musk often reminds us of. If you look at his Twitter right here, someone actually tweeted that one thing that is still uncertain is the speed the Cybertruck will be able to travel on water. So the calculations might be off due to that, but I suspect it might be anywhere between 3 and 10 knots. At Elon Musk, any insight on this? So one thing to remind you guys about is the fact that the Cybertruck could actually move on water. You could actually drive it on there, which is pretty cool, but I can't actually confirm that just yet. But I'm just saying it is a possibility. This will be something that it's going to be capable of doing, in my opinion. And that's very, very cool in my opinion. So Elon Musk responded, you'd need an electric propeller mounted on the tow hitch to go faster than a few knots. There might I think he said there might a creative I think he meant to say there might be a creative wheel hub design that can generate meaningful thrust. Once again, Musk is now kind of like spreading these ideas, which I think is absolutely amazing. The fact that they're constantly looking for a new challenge, a new venture, the new ambition for this company, which is what Musk really used to drive this company forward. So to me personally, I'm very, very bullish. You guys can see that Musk also like the tweet over here about the fact that the Model Y is just becoming a massive car, very, very popular in Norway and other big countries in Germany. So super, super bullish, guys, long term. So I'm not afraid whatsoever. In fact, I see this as a very good loading zone for Tesla to buy those shares. Very good opportunities are coming. It's up to you to take advantage of them. Non financial advice, by the way. So thank you all for listening. Please enjoy your weekend. Please note that there is not confirmation of a bounce for Tesla just yet, so more downside could still come. We'll have to wait and see how this goes for the future. I will make another video on Sunday where I break down more details about it. I already have one coming out for tomorrow about the market crash to give you guys more insights on how this could affect Tesla over the next month or two. With that said, thank you all for listening. Have a great, great, great weekend, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Tesla to the moon, because the long-term future is still incredibly bright, and peace out.